reflection of the Lord's name on the tip of their tongues or on the path of their ears. So here's Gopakumar meeting Srimati Radharani. And only on the order of Srimati Radharani does the Guru come into this world. This is from Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Swarup, a Brahmana from Mathura, who is my devotee, is coming to my grove. Go there alone. The first thing today, enlighten him with good instructions, console him, and help him quickly attain Krishna's grace. Now, she's speaking to her assistants about Gopakumar, because he found out his spiritual form and his spiritual name. Because before that, he was just a cowherd boy living in Vrindavan. So then later, Swarup. On her instructions, I swiftly came here, overjoyed, without even a thought about missing the enjoyment of Krishna's company. This is just some embellishment on the verse when Hanuman lands in Lanka and starts looking around as the guru or as the emissary. Guru's entry into this world is for the sake of Krishna. Now, because those of you that weren't part of the earlier sessions, I'll just go back to the first class where there are four things simultaneously being woven in scripture. It's certainly in Ramayana. There's this beautiful storyline, very charming. There's the language itself, which is also very charming, very Sundara, very beautiful. There's the lessons. The lessons are sometimes explicit, sometimes they're just poetically described, and so then it takes, ladies, shh, shh, shh. Can you hear okay? You want me to do something differently? Move forward. They can't move forward, they're sardines. The ladies that came late are just going to have to be late. There's no moving forward. Nice try. Can we settle down back there? I don't need water. If you need water, that's okay. Can we be peaceful? Whoever's been animated over there, just simmer down. Thank you. I can finish sooner if you simmer down. Okay. So the first was, the focus is on Hanuman coming as the representative of Ram to deliver Ram's service, that is, find Sita and reassure Sita and all the nice things he does within a day and a half that it takes a whole Kanda to tell, because it's so important. So that's how he comes. Now here's what are the circumstances. And after the Guru enters one's life, what should one do? Mahatsevam Dwara Mahurvi Muktes. This is Prabhupada's servant, Shrutakirti, making arrangement for Prabhupada's shoes. This has very nice service. Service to saintly persons is the door to both impersonal and personal liberation. Why is this included? This is Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur making his comment on Canto 5, Chapter 5. Canto 5, Chapter 5 is your description, it's teachings of Rishabdev. So, what did Hanuman do after jumping across the wall? He went around and started examining the place. He walked along the highway. the roads sprinkled with water, scented with sandal, and had pearls scattered all over them. Roads had pearls scattered all over them. Even at night, the streets of Lanka were busy. There's the busy streets. Check it out. Even at night. He heard melodious songs of intoxicated women with angelic voice, like that of Apsaras. Some women were shy, some beautiful. Some danced and sang without any restraint. Then he heard chanting of Vedic mantras. What's this going on in Rakshasaloka? Vedic mantras in the houses of demons. At the same time, he heard the demons singing loudly the eulogy of Ravana. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't do that. He observed large contingents of demons lining the highway, and spies of Ravana stationed in the middle of the city. So Hanuman's he's a minister, and he understands diplomacy, and he understands how to understand what's going on. Just by moving around, he could understand very well. Hanuman witnessed all kinds of demon priests who were performing rituals. Some who were ascetics with matted hair, some with shaven heads, and some robed in cow hides. That's not nice. All around, men were getting into drunken brawls as they insulted and abused each other in their intoxication. Lanka had also its share of good men who were devout, intelligent, and learned, who commanded great respect. Some demons had hammers, and others had staff and spikes. Some looked good, some looked frightful, with a single eye, some with a single ear, some with drooping stomachs, and others distorted, hideous forms. Welcome to Lanka. Doesn't this description of Lanka resemble the aspiration of some modern world person? Merrymaking, opulence, no value for sadhus like Hanuman. Aren't we trying to have a little bit of spirituality, a little bit of Lanka life experience? Hanuman reached the inner city of Lanka, where the palace of Ravana was present, guarded by thousands of demons. Ravana's palace, with a golden doorway, was on top of a mountain surrounded by a moat with white lotuses. By now, the moon that had just risen in the sky when Hanuman landed had now come to the center of the sky. These are nice graphics, huh? Glorification of Guru Tattva using the moon as a metaphor. So coming up, with this emphasis on the moon, this is now already the second verse of this section. Hanuman saw the moon spreading his light, thereby warding off the agony of all creatures, causing the swelling of the ocean, and illuminating the earth as well as the sky. So back to the first, there's poetic language. And if you're not a poet, you're not going to understand the poetic language. You're just going to take it literally, but it's not specifically meant. There's some literalness. The moon is there. But then the effect of the moon on the atmosphere is poetically being described. And so compliments of the commentators, we're going to hear how to understand this metaphor. As Valmiki is expressing the debauchery, wickedness, and misutilization of Vedic methods for sense gratification, he brings one's focus back to the Savior, the spiritual master. So the moon is representing the spiritual master. So in the darkness of night, so that the sun sets, the darkness of night, the moon may rise. So in the absence of the absolute truth, personality, Godhead, the Bhagavatam appeared, was brilliant as the sun, right? The moon as brilliant as the sun. So that's the guru. That's the Bhagavatam and the book and the person. So we're going to hear this nice comparison of what the guru compared to the moon, using the moon as a metaphor, what's going on as Hanuman enters into Lanka. The spiritual master appears in the world to rid the jivas of papa, or sinful tendency, that is the cause of all unhappiness. So what's the cause of sinful tendency? So let's go back. Let's go way back. Why creation? Is it necessary? Is Krishna kind or unkind to create this place where people suffer? What's the cause of creation? What's the cause of suffering? Why? Now, if you're a Buddhist, you have one answer, and if you're a Vaishnava, you have a different answer. We'll rather go through the Buddhism thing. The Vaishnava thing is, it's ignorance. The living entity has a desire to enjoy. Being covered by ignorance, the enjoyment is misplaced. And so they want to enjoy independently of what real enjoyment is in relation to Krishna's real enjoyment. And so we can elaborate, but the cause of suffering from a Vaishnava point of view is ignorance. We'll do the Buddhist thing. The Buddhist thing says the root cause of suffering is desire. In order to become free from suffering, become free from desire. How do you become free from desire? Well, you can't. But here's the method. Mode of goodness, starting with nonviolence, compassion, truthfulness, cleanliness, mode of goodness. Frame your life live your life in the mode of goodness. That's the incubation chamber. And then what goes in the inside? Mindfulness. What does that mean? If the philosophy is there's no such thing as a soul, he doesn't explicitly say there's no such thing as a soul. He just says the only thing that there is the moment. Consciousness, this is Jiva Goswami, Shanak Vijnanavad. We'll come back to Hanuman, don't worry. He's the moon. And in this metaphor, he's bringing light into this dark place in order to relieve the jiva's ignorance. That's the guru's function, because ignorance is the root cause of their suffering. Because if you have no desire, then you don't exist. So the idea of Buddhism is be in the moment, because the past doesn't exist, the future doesn't exist. All there is the moment. Consciousness is moment to moment. Kshanik Vijnanavad, the doctrine of consciousness is momentary. And so if you become a good Buddhist, living your life in goodness, starting with nonviolence and compassion and so forth, and you're just in the moment, and you become really accomplished at being in the moment, something happens. Something may happen. And the something that may happen is enlightenment. And what's enlightenment? Enlightenment is, if you're a Buddhist, it's going beyond the moment. And what's beyond the moment? Nothing. Or nothingness. That's called nirvana in Sanskrit. But he defines what nirvana differently than we do. His nirvana is you stop to exist. cessation of material existence. And when if you don't have any spiritual existence, and you cease material existence, you cease to exist. Haribol. No more suffering, because you stopped existing. But souls can't stop existing, because souls are eternal. Souls can't stop desiring, because it's of the soul. The souls in relation to the Supreme Soul have a natural desire to be in a loving relationship with the Supreme Soul. It's natural. The cure for suffering is anesthesia. Just anesthetize yourself so you don't feel anything. But you still exist because souls are eternal. But you under anesthesia, you don't feel anything. They can cut you and bang you and, you don't feel anything until the anesthesia wears off. Oh, that's surgery. But during surgery, you don't feel anything. So that our solution is not cessation of desire. Our solution is cessation of ignorant desire. Because the root cause of suffering is ignorance. You cover the living entity with ignorance, and he has ignorant desire. Come ignorant desire, comes ignorant activity, comes suffering. Antidote, knowledge. Or the guru brings that which relieves the living entity of that tendency to be in ignorance by knowledge, transcendental knowledge. Light of the Bhagavad. So here's a nice little chart. This is Jiva Goswami once again. Well, this time it's Priti Sandarbha, Anucheda 7. And there's on the left side, that's the conditioned living entity. And then there's the living entity that's apathetic towards material enjoyment. And then there's the other side. There's the aversion towards God. So it's not a nice position. This is a little chart just showing what it's all about. So the spiritual master wants to relieve that living entity of this material condition. So here we go. Here comes the metaphor, verse number 4. And the guru, like the moon, is being compared to a swan. Like a swan in a cage of silver. Like a lion in a cave of the Mandara mountain. Like a hero on a proud, luxuriant, intoxicated elephant. The moon shone in the sky. This is Hanuman. Hanuman's the moon. So there's a swan in a silver cage. Pretty interesting cage. He's bigger than the cage. And the Hangsa in this verse refers to the Paramahansa. So the swan in the cage gives pleasure to all who look at it, which is true. The guru, although present in this cage or the prison of the material existence, gives spiritual pleasure to those who come in touch with them, which is true. Srila Prabhupada gave the example. It's like someone who's the king who visits somebody in prison, and when he visits somebody in prison, he's not a prisoner like the people in prison. He's coming to give kindness to the people that are in prison. So the guru or the moon, that's the swan-like person, has entered into their midst. That's Hanuman. Or like a lion in a cave in Mandara mountain. Now that doesn't look like a cave in Mandara mountain. It looks like a zoo, and they put him in this other place, so it looks like he's living in a cave. Although a lion is in the cave, the entire jungle is aware of his presence. Similarly, the guru, although present in one place, influences the entire world. by his teachings, the disciples who carry him in their heart, and by the strength of his devotion, which brings auspiciousness to the entire world. So this is the moon, which is a metaphor, and the metaphor has sub-metaphors. The swan in a silver cage, the lion in Mandara mountain, like a hero who's riding an intoxicated elephant. A conditioned living entity in the material world is living like a maddened elephant. That's the conditioned soul, trampling all the carefully cultivated gifts of God, like gardens. Prabhupada's comment, the elephant offense is like letting an elephant loose in your garden. Have a nice garden, spend lots of time cultivating the garden, and then inviting the elephant, come on in and destroy everything. The elephant offense. Vaishnava Parad. The Guru is the hero who holds the ankush, or the goad, of instructions and affection by which the mad elephant, like disciples' rebellious tendency, is tamed. So nice, the metaphor within the metaphor. Just like the bright moon appears to illuminate the dark night sky, the spiritual master appears in the world to rid the jivas of sinful tendency, that's ignorance, and this is the cause of all unhappiness. So, is he going to be successful? Now, this is philosophy, because one of the four things that's within any glorious literature, there's teachings, and it's not so dissimilar. It's quite similar to the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. The language is different, the storyline is different, but the message is quite the same. So there are four particular qualities within Hanuman that made him successful, and the same qualities can make us successful in trying to spread Krishna consciousness, become Krishna conscious, and spread Krishna consciousness. So this is a painting of Hanuman leaping from Mahendra mountain, and the demigods are showering flowers as he's making his giant leap. So they're witnessing his accomplishments, and here's the statement of these four things, these four qualities that makes Hanuman successful, or can make any one of us successful, even with difficult circumstances in front of us. Courage, vision, intellect, and skill. Those four names, it's in the third line. Dhriti, drishti, matir, daksham. Skill, expertise. All these four virtues, like you, such a person will not fail at any task. So here's a little chart. In the middle, is he going to be successful? Well, he needs courage or determination, drishti, vision, proper conception of life and himself and his duties in life, intelligence, which isn't the same as vision, intelligence, how to direct the activities of life, and daksham. Daksha means expert or skillful. So there's another element that's needed that Hanuman has in addition to these four. And the additional element is he's endowed with dharma. Who was his guru? Surya, the sun god. There's no section in Valmiki Ramayana that says he went to school. But he went to school. And he had a teacher in school. His school teacher was the sun god. He was the son of the Vayu, but his teacher was Surya. So he got the best training. And he therefore was very dharmic. That's what shows in this chart. That made him successful because this dharma complemented and united all the other elements. So how more about Hanuman being situated in dharma. The demigods repeatedly refer to Hanuman as Mahatmanaha or Shriman. So they're not oriented towards his own purposes, but entirely oriented towards Ramachandra's purposes and the service of the Vanas. We discussed this yesterday. Ram and the servants of Ram. No selfish or personal motive. That would have been, that's an obstacle, or it's an impediment, or it makes pure devotion less than pure, because there's some interest other than Krishna's interest. There was nothing for himself to gain, just like what Prabhupada did. At his age, with his bodily condition, to cross the ocean, what was he doing this for? It was his spiritual master, and of course, the persons who he came to serve. And he after finding Sita and doing all of that business within those same day and a half, he decided he wanted to meet Ravana and warn him. And so he did. He started ripping up the Ashoka garden, breaking the trees and bashing and, etc. He wanted to give warning words to Ravana. As he said, he could have picked up the whole of Lanka and lifted and brought Sita and the whole of Lanka to Ram. But that wasn't his assignment. Ram was supposed to defeat Ravana, not Hanuman. There was no issue between Hanuman and Ravana other than, his dirty deed of stealing Sita, which he came to know that was his business. And so it wasn't just like get back. It's as a representative of the king, representative of his master, the Lord Ram, to warn Ravana. Worldly determination, this is just taking these four qualities and then we're done. So driti, determination. He was really determined. Materialists can also be determined. They're thinking they want to be the top of the world. Jnani's determination. There's his Bhartrihari. Any of our girls have done Bharatanatyam dance and teaching or taking? You know who Bhartrimuni is, right? You know who he is from your training, and so Bhartrimuni was a precursor historically before Rupa Goswami, and along with dance, there were expressions of the dancer with mudras and etc. to awaken a certain emotion, rasa. The dance, classic dance of Bhartrimuni, was to train the dancer, girls or boys, to evoke emotion. No, you can evoke material emotion, and then transcendental emotion requires something a little different than just dancers. But he, along with the dance, there was teachings about rasa. He used the word rasa. And Rupa Goswami drew and expanded his teachings on rasa and made Nectar of Devotion or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. No. Rupa Goswami, was just teaching what Lord Chaitanya taught him. So one could say that Lord Chaitanya received those teachings from Bhartrimuni. But Lord Chaitanya is the source of Bhartrimuni. The personality of God is the source of everything. So he need Bhartrimuni. But Bhartrimuni got a little piece. Lord Chaitanya got the big picture and passed it on to Rupa Goswami, who then wrote it. But there's a lot of similarity. That's a detail. So Bhartrihari says that when a person is elevated to this state of driti, he thinks, determination, this is the Jnani's determination, I do not wish to be a highly posted government servant. I prefer to remain naked, without proper garments. I shall prefer to lie down on the ground without any mattress. And despite all these disadvantages, I shall refuse to serve anyone, even the government. No, na danam, na janam, na sundarim. There's some similarity in Lord Chaitanya's teachings. But, there's the determination of the materialist, the determination of the Jnani, and here's the determination of Hanuman. And it's just love of Lord Ramachandra. Everything he did was on that very high transcendental platform of enduring any disadvantage from any mundane perspective for the sake of the service of the personality of Godhead. And when that determination awakens, it is present, it is the cause of transcendental emotion. And secondary emotions, along with his dasya, was he exhibited the features of a hero. But it wasn't like, I want to show people how powerful I am. It was secondary. Secondary transcendental emotion. A little bit more on that note. This previous one is driti. We're a little bit more on driti. It's made perfect by perfect knowledge. Here's a nice verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. The word driti is also used when one is fully perfect in knowledge. When, due to having obtained the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one has no material miseries, he attains Mahapurna, the highest level of perfection. Now this is chapter 24 of Madhya Lila, which means it's Lord Chaitanya's teaching to Sanatana Goswami. Those of you a little bit familiar with Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the teachings to Sanatana Goswami, he's teaching the higher and the highest stages of bhakti, progressively. It's a very nice section, Sanatana Shiksha, very nice section of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then there's driti, the courage of Hanuman. Courage is a quality of strength of one's heart. Even in the material world, when we set goals and go for it, it requires driti, courage. A spiritual aspirant needs courage to say, with humility, I am steeped in matter. I have severe bodily identification issues, yet I aspire for that which lies beyond matter. Courage. Then, along with courage, comes vision. This is just breaking down this one verse where 4 features made Hanuman successful, along with his dharmic disposition. So you see past, present, short-term, mid-term, long-term. One's vision needs to be expansive or to have the big picture. Often, super common, we have an idea, we want to go to achieve something in life, spiritually. And then comes something. And we get all absorbed into something. And we may wake up one day and say, wait a minute, I forgot the mission of life. And then shake off the circumstance and focus on the mission of life again. And then comes another conflict or another obstacle or another something. We go from one problem to the next problem and become little problem solvers. One thing to the next thing. And sometimes it's successful. And then we celebrate and have a little party. But what's the big mission of life? Bhakti Siddhanta, we just experienced his disappearance day and his appearance day. So he has this nice saying, in materialists, life to them is like playing chess, and they can't see beyond the next move. And a thoughtful person sees 3 moves, 4 moves, 5 moves later, So they move this because then there's that and that and that and that. Chess is a complicated game. Life is a complicated game. And the drishti characteristic that made Hanuman successful is he had the long-term vision in mind. Many things happened, and he never lost sight of the long-term vision. We lose sight of the big picture because of being caught in some temporary, short-term, immediate something situation. Could be good fortune, some opportunity. It could be, conflict or some problem. Somebody's having a dispute with another somebody, and we want to be the peacemaker, and you lose the big picture. Not Hanuman. Long-term perspective. What should be the progression of my consciousness to become a pure devotee? This big picture is our true lighthouse that will help us put ourselves back on track. It's like a GPS. It's similar. Everyone these days has GPS, or at least 2 or 3 of them. A popular car in the West these days has become a Tesla, because the government gives a kickback and that you save money and you're being nice to the environment. So Teslas are popular, and there's this screen in the dashboard of a Tesla. It's like a big screen. It's like a big screen, and it's got all kinds of stuff. And people that I get bewildered by looking at that screen. I don't really like technology. I like people that like technology and know how to make it work. But just like my computer, the mouse stopped working, and I was like, I'm dependent upon that mouse. Please squeak. Anyway, a GPS, they have, there's ways, different systems, but a GPS, supposing you don't know your destination. Some people don't know their destination. They just get in their car, or they already know how to get there, so they don't put it shows you where you are on the highway. But it doesn't tell you to get to your destination. They just click what the destination is, and it'll tell you how to get to your destination. I've had the experience of riding in a Tesla. We're going to a college program, and as we were getting closer to the destination, there was a roadblock. There was a construction on the other side of this roadblock. The GPS didn't know about it. So the driver knew about it, so the driver went around, and the GPS did its, correcting, and then got us to the destination. Because we knew the destination, although we didn't know what the roadblock was. So the bigger picture of life, the mission of your mission of human life is like that. What's the destination? So Hanuman, after he found Sita, that he did some additional things, some add-on things that he wanted to do. But the main thing that he was sent to do, mission accomplished. And then he did some extra things. Like warned Ravana, give Sita back or you're finished. So make sure you have that lighthouse or that long-term picture, drishti. Our vision depends on consciousness. What we see, we're nearing a conclusion. Yay. What we see as a reality depends on their state of consciousness. Notice that what's being shown in this, it's the thing in somebody's hand is an upside down picture. What's in the up is the down. That's like the sea. And on the other side of the sea is what's on, the land. And on the land, above the land, there's the sky. But this image is showing the sky is at the bottom, the land is in between, and the sea is below or above. So what we see is depending upon our consciousness. That's the graphic is meant to show that. Drishti, that's vision, and the shrishti, that which is created by the vision, they're going to be different. So, unless we're Krishna conscious. So this is a nice example. Mistaking a rope to be a snake. You know, you've seen that one before. So drishti, the conception that you have of life. The ideal is to have the vision that's according to Shastra. Drishti, or chakshush, seeing according to the statements of Scripture. And that's how we should guide our lives, the conceptions of what's important and how to get to that which is important. Otherwise, it's going to be faulty. I'm going to move quickly. Some nice, those who discard regulations are everything is spoiled. Similar Rupa Goswami writing this verse, without reference to Shruti, Smriti, and Puranas, everything is spoiled. One's life becomes a disturbance to society. Hanuman had the right drishti because he was very learned. He had a good teacher, and he was the expert student. The sun god was his teacher. Here's an image, a painting of the first meeting. What's shown below is Hanuman had accepted a disguise of a brahmana. Of course, the artist has made him a brahmana monkey, a monkey brahmana. But he had a shape-changing ability, so he appeared as a brahmana. And he was sent as a brahmana with the mission of finding out if these two down at the bottom of Rishamukh mountain were friend or foe. Because they're dressed in the attirements of an ascetic, but they got bows and arrows. So that's inconsistent. Are they ascetics or are they warriors? Friend or foe? As soon as Hanuman came before them, he understood, just by being in Lord Ramachandra's and Lakshmana's presence, he knew, friend. So he didn't even ask any questions. He just identified who he was. I'm the servant of Sugriva. I'm his minister. I've come here to welcome you. and if you'd like, I can introduce you to Sugriva. And he spoke in many things in many ways. And Ramchandra just listened. And Ramchandra didn't say anything. He just turned to Lakshmana, didn't even address Hanuman. And he said, he's very, very accomplished in Rig Veda, Yajurveda, and Samaveda. Otherwise, he couldn't speak like this. He is a vastly learned, cultured, civilized person. Just by hearing his voice and his diction and his demeanor. And similarly as Hanuman understood Ramchandra. So this takes intelligence. He had vision combined with intelligence. Anytime our mind gets disturbed, does your mind ever get disturbed? In case your mind, maybe you know somebody whose mind gets disturbed. In case you know somebody like that, ask them to remember Hanuman. And what did Hanuman do when there was disturbing circumstances? He took the big picture, hit the reset button, step back, and reflect on what's my mission here? What's my purpose here? Why am I in this world? Why am I in this situation in this world? What's my mission? What am I meant to accomplish? And the obstacles, the problems, they become right-sized. This is intelligence. And they're connected. They're connected because with proper vision, then if that's lost, then intelligence is lost. But you get one with the other. You put the two together, and you're going to be successful, because that's the end of this little section. So the end of this little section is what made Hanuman successful. these 4 characteristics, in addition to his skill. Or as Prabhupada says, do the needful. So he's done his expertise. He met Mainaka. He honored Brahma's boon to Shurasa. He chose taking this small, inconspicuous body of a cat and entered at night. And he's doing all the right things. He's intelligent, along with being very skillful. Daksha, very expert. Tomorrow, Krishna permitting, who knows what tomorrow is going to be anyways, but tomorrow the plan is we're going to go to the next part number 7. By the way, as I mentioned, for those that weren't with us for the first day, this whole presentation is intended to be part of a yatra where the Chinese devotees can come to a yatra, because presently the relations between India and China, they don't give visas to each other. Citizens aren't getting visas. Things are moving a little differently. That may change. It looks like it's going to change. Who knows? But it looks like it's going to change. For whatever the reasons are upstairs, it's just convenient for somebody upstairs to be in a good relationship with India and China. So if they get a visa, then we can start having yatras during, the ideal time to have a yatra in India. So that's the idea. Vrindavan, Mayapur, Puri, because they haven't been to those places. So this next year is in Sri Lanka, because the Chinese citizens don't need a visa to go to Sri Lanka. So we can have a katha, or a yatra, discussing pastimes of Hanuman and Ramachandra, and they can come. It doesn't have to be just Zoom. They can see in person. It's a big deal for them. Devotee association, where you can't have devotee association. It's just, anyway, so it's a nice opportunity. So all of this is part of preparation for that nice event. There will be 14 parts. While I'm here visiting in Bangalore, we have time for 8 of the 14. Maybe some other time we can do the other 4. Other 6, excuse me. But that's part of my consciousness, and what to speak of what Shamkunda and his team have been doing to prepare all this, is giving that experience, the understanding, his love, and the beauty of Ramayana to an audience that has learned Ramayana. Last thing, I'm going to little sharing. I don't know how it happened, but I know what happened. There's a publisher connected with a university in China, where because of some history connected with Buddhism and China, because Buddhism was very popular in China during a certain period of time. Long story short, there's a retelling of one Buddhist monk's overland journey to come all the way to the place where Buddha, the seat of the capital, the place where he appeared and did his main teachings and had his university, and he came all the way overland, stayed for a couple of years, learned Buddhism, and received the documents I guess in Sanskrit, and took them back and had them translated into Chinese language. And that's how Buddhism in its pure form became established in China. And then 1,000 years later, there was a retelling of that story by a popular guy who just added Hanuman into the mix. He called it, there's a name in Chinese, but it's the Monkey King. The Monkey King. They don't know him by name as Hanuman, but they know that everybody knows Monkey King. I was told. There are 5 you go to school in China is mandatory, like many places. And there are 5 books that all the kids that go to school in China read. That's one of them, the Monkey King story. So they all know. And so one professor of a university publishing house got an ISBN, the government permission to have Valmiki Ramayana in Chinese. It's legal and it's being distributed. Valmiki, it's a little shortened version in Chinese. So they're going to really like to hear what all of what we're doing here. And I'm sure that they'll not only purchase Valmiki Ramayana in Chinese, but read it. And it's purifying just to hear the message of Lord Ramachandra. It's these same 4 points. The storyline, the philosophy, the history of how everything unfolded at that time, and the lessons of life. Okay. There's different layers of what's going on in what we're doing here today, in the next couple of days. Any discussion? Well, look at this. It's 10 minutes to 8. Despite the technology not cooperating, here we are. He had his hand up first. Go ahead. You have a strong voice, right? Go ahead. Hare Krishna. A little louder. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the wonderful lecture and taking us to Sri Lanka along with Hanuman. Maharaj, I have one question. You mentioned in the slide that when you were on the way to college and the GPS showed that the GPS doesn't know that there is a roadblock and the driver took all the way and took you to college. So how can we understand the roadblocks in our life?
How can you understand them? People are doing some road repair. That's how you can understand them.
I mean, the blocks in our life.
How do you understand them? It's just the nature of life in this world. This is how to understand. Put the microphone down. We're living in a place of duality. That's how to understand them. There's this and there's that. There's winter and summer season, there's day and there's night, there's happiness and distress. It's the nature of the place. That's how to understand it. The roadblocks, it's just, sometimes and sometimes. It's just the nature of the place. Sometimes it's smooth. Sometimes it's rough. Sometimes the road's out. Sometimes there's no problem. I was chuckling most of the way over here, noticing these building of highways in India. It's like ridiculous. They have these big flyover things, and they finish like 1/3 of it, and they just leave it there. And then you go down a couple miles, and they start it up again. It's way up in the air, and how do you understand it? It's the nature of the place. It's a trick microphone. You just have to press the right buttons. Ah,
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. So, Hare Krishna.
I hear you.
So you mentioned about Dakshyam, that skill part. So sometimes we hear in classes that talent is God gifted and skill is learnt over the period by training.
Well, yeah.
So I wanted to know that skill that Hanuman developed, that was by the mercy of Suryadev as his guru, by the study of the scriptures.
Of course, of course. Do you sing?
Not good singer, just like that.
Yeah. Some persons practice and practice and practice and they can't carry a tune no matter what. My experience is those people sit right in front. And they're loud. You know, that's the thing that they're gifted with. They're gifted with a voice that can't sing on tune. And they're using that in Krishna service. So some people sing very sweetly. Very sweetly. Very sweetly. And then so it's, and it's endowments. Krishna gives this and gives that and gives the other to different persons. He's the ability in man, as he says in Bhagavad Gita. And then you use that ability that Krishna has given you or each one of us as best you can. And then it can become improved and improved. We should try to improve it. Little by little. And continue to use it in devotion, not just so that we get better at something, but that Krishna will be pleased. I'm going to compliment this probably now frustrated young lady who's been helping us with all the technology here. She's doing it as a service, and sometimes it goes well, and sometimes it was like chaos, like today. Continue. We should. I appreciate what she's doing, because without it, we wouldn't have all of what we have here. And she's going to learn from experience, and she's going to complain, as she probably am, to a few people that could be helping, but they're not. But then she'll learn and learn and learn and learn. Then she'll train somebody at some point in time. And then smile when the problems go on. Just like you fixed the problem. Thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Maharaj. Maharaj, here you told Dharma unites all that four qualities, means drishti, vijana.
You like that chart. I like that chart too.
Yeah.
Should I go back to it?
Yes, Maharaj.
Go ahead. I'm listening, but I'll review. Go ahead.
Maharaj, what Dharma means perfectly, means in that context, because as per Srila Prabhupada's lecture, what I have heard some lectures, so about that means Dharma means nature. So here what that Dharma particular word means in this
You want to know what that word means? That's what your question is?
Yes, Maharaj, means what is the Dharma here which is uniting all the four?
Well, what do you think? What's the essence of Dharma?
Service to Shri Ram. Service to Shri Ram.
Yeah. Mamekam Sharanam. All the other forms of Dharma are secondary or subordinate to that one. That one is uniting all the others. The others serve the one.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Mamekam Sharanam. Ekam. There's an enthusiastic hand waver back there. I'm going to turn to this side next. So ladies, get ready. Okay?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam.
Maharaj, thank you so much for
Speak
this.
slowly.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dhanavad Pranam Maharaj.
You're a little slower. Because you haven't gotten to the question. You speak so fast I can't follow what you're saying.
Maharaj, in the qualities or the ingredients for success, the Drishti, Dhriti, Madi and Sakyam, why the Lord's mercy is not included in that?
Oh, come on. These are the endowments of the servitor that makes the servitor successful. And then what unites them all is the Dharma. There's the answer to your question. So what's Dharma? That was the earlier question. Mamekam Sharanam. And when one does the Mamekam Sharanam, bro, what happens? You become a fit recipient. So what's the qualification of the fit recipient to be successful in service?
To be a devotee.
Okay. I'm glad you answered your own question.
Maharaj, I have one more quick question.
No. How quick? Go ahead.
Maharaj, we have commentaries for Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Prabhupada like
Speak
that.
slowly.
Do you have any commentaries by devotees for Valmiki Ramayana, Maharaj?
Oh yeah, of course.
Which one you recommend, Maharaj?
Which one do I recommend? Well, there's a very nice devotee, Vidvan Gauranga, who is laboriously and devotionally engaged in writing a commentary, largely based on Govindaraj, but other commentators. So Vaishnava, primarily Sri Vaishnava, but other commentators. And he's assembling it all in, a nice thick volume. Volume for each kanda, there's a whole volume. So that's one that I recommend. There's others that I like their writing style, Krishna Dharma, but it's not so much commentary, it's just a retelling of the story in very readable language. English language is very readable. So there's others.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Microphone over on the ladies' side. We'll come back to you. You're going to get the last question. It's a trick microphone. You have to dance a little bit and then it works.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my respectful obeisances. Thank you for your wonderful association and the lecture. Maharaj, you talked about this long-term perspective on what should be the progression of my consciousness to be a pure devotee. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
That's called life. There's short-term, mid-term, and long-term. You get up in the morning, you brush your teeth. Short-term. And then the next morning you get up and brush your teeth. So the progression over a period of time, in addition to brushing your teeth every morning, there's something that your life is meant to fulfill. And then there's general, and then there's customized. The general, we heard already, serve Krishna. Mamekam Sharanam. Make that your exclusive mission. And then there's customized. What is that? What will that look like for me or for you? And that's life. So, and back to this comment about endowments. We're endowed with things. So, what are those things? You introspect. What are those things that I feel Krishna has given me some ability to do? At least I have a liking, and it's easy. It's easy for me to stay fixed and absorbed. And then let me do some more of that purposefully for the longer term mission. I'll tell you a little an example of why I'm speaking this way. I have noticed, it's probably true here in India, younger generation devotees like kirtan. They like kirtan. When there's kirtan, they're present. As soon as kirtan is over, they scatter. Not everybody, but, that's a tendency. So I like interacting with young generation for many reasons, but one of the reasons is they're the future. And I have found that younger generation people, they're not really interested in japa. They're not interested in the holy name. They're interested in the musicality of and the social interaction that goes along with. I mean, I've asked them, and they say it. Why? Music. Music is universal. Universal music. Everyone likes music. It's true. In all cultures, music and dance. It's universal. And then there's the social. They build friendships. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da with all of that. Now, there's one young person who told me, confided, I just don't have the same taste. Learning the beats, because he's mridanga virtuoso. But, I don't have the same taste doing that. Am I doing something wrong? What should I do? So, that's like fantastic. Fan that spark. Not like lose interest in music or the kirtan, but get to what the real purpose of the kirtan is. It's an offering to Krishna. So the name. Anyway, we had some discussion, and now it's moved from the name to the Bhagavatam and the scriptures. And he has from a devotee family, so he's got a good support structure. But mom and dad don't harass him or push him, or it's just he's growing on his own. So he's becoming a fine young Vaishnava from that little spark. So back to your question. There's general, there's customized, and then when you do the customized things because you get energy and strength from them, focus on the purpose behind it. And then watch it grow. It'll grow much better. Here's a Prabhupada's teaching. This is one of the artists told me that Prabhupada told them. Many of them, when the art department, in the very beginning, it wasn't a BBT. It was just ISKCON and ISKCON Press. That was the distinction. There's the temple, ISKCON, and there's the press, the book publication. So the art, Prabhupada recruited artists. They'd never painted before. But, that Prabhupada said paint, so they painted. And I saw some of the original artwork. They look really crude. But, Prabhupada encouraged, just practice and practice. And then at a certain point in time, the book publication was coming out, and they thought, this isn't refined, what should we do? So one of them asked, should we take art classes? And Prabhupada's answer was no. Just paint with devotion, and Krishna will be the best instructor. You paint with devotion, and you'll become very skilled. And so that's what they did. Now, some did take classical, because the style changed to a nice dark background, and classical paintings that have that kind of feeling to them. But the expertise came from devotion. So that's just an example of the same point I was making. We're meant to, the human form of life is an opportunity to know the absolute truth, to know Krishna. Other forms of life don't have the opportunity. So the medium for that is bhakti. And bhakti is not just singing and dancing and cooking and eating, but it's doing all those things in service to Krishna. It looks like what everybody else is doing, but the distinction is it's for Krishna. That's bhakti. And then you grow it in your little bhakti garden and offer the fruits and flowers to Krishna, and with a big smile. Krishna, you're very kind. Okay. Anything else from the ladies' side? Right in front of you.
Hare Krishna, Guru.
No. You just let her speak. Please don't let her just. She can speak. She's got a strong voice. There, look where we go. You speak. You forgot what were you going to say. Just speak loud. Yeah. You're referring to the same list of 4 things. You engage them. It's very important. I think I understand your question. The question is going, do qualities come to you or do you cultivate the qualities? That's the question. And the bhakti is the way to cultivate the qualities. That is, Krishna should smile. And if that's your meditation, that's cultivating those qualities. You do deity worship? Yeah. So when you do deity worship, there's the this and the that and that and the other thing. And then there's the for whom are you doing it? And you can get lost in the this and that and the other thing and forget for whom you're doing it. Or if you're focused on for whom you're doing it, the this and that and the other thing take on meaning. Otherwise, they're just hollow. Shama evi kevalam. So, another way of saying the same thing. Which comes first, the cart or the horse? The horse pulls the cart. So the horse goes first. Then the cart is the qualities. So bhakti pulls. It's not that the qualities are unimportant, because the qualities are there so that Krishna will smile. I want to paint this painting so that Krishna will smile when he sees it, or that Prabhupada will smile when he sees it. Here's the Prabhupada story, and I'm going to end. He gets the last question. Give the microphone to this young man. There was a period of time before there was the BBT. BBT was formed in Los Angeles, but there was a period of time when ISKCON Press, which was based in Boston, moved to New York because they had bigger space in New York. And when Prabhupada came to visit, one afternoon was dedicated to the artists. So the art department was way over there, several blocks away, and then one by one they brought the paintings, the whole group, and different devotees carrying the paintings to bring into Prabhupada's quarters and show to Prabhupada their artwork. And Prabhupada looked at the artwork, and it would always have something very clever to say. And there was the ooh and the ah, and Prabhupada would say something, and it was just a loving exchange, as essentially. Then sometimes he made comments. Like one of the paintings I distinctly remember was from the first canto, when Yudhishthira heard from Arjuna that Krishna had departed. He and the Pandavas, they gave up their position as the emperor and the king, and they headed for the north country. You know that section of the Bhagavatam? And so the painting showed Yudhishthira carrying a danda, climbing up a mountain in the Himalayas. And Prabhupada said that Kshatriyas, when they renounce, they don't take the tridanda. That's for brahmanas. They take tridanda. And that was like, oh, but it's okay. You can leave it. So they left it. They didn't have to like paint over it and make it something else. Fine. So he would make, so improvements can go along the way as you go along the way and learn how to do something and do something better and do something better. Then you have some intelligence to guide your activity to do it better. But the essence is the devotion. That's what the reciprocation that Prabhupada was making. And they felt it. And that was the inspiration to go for the next year, making more paintings. And, whatever one service to the founder Acharya may be. Last question. Use the microphone. You're a little boy, you know how to use the microphone. See, you're intelligent.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I just had a short question. Like, what was Hanuman's age when he jumped from the mountain to Lanka?
What did he do?
What was Hanuman's age?
What did he did?
No, what was his age?
What did he eat? How old was he? Oh, I don't know. How old are you? 11?
12 years.
Okay. Maybe he was about your age. But I don't know. But I bet I can find out the answer to your question. And I bet I can find out even before I leave. The answer might be I don't know. But I'll see if somebody knows. I know some people that, if somebody knows, they know. And I'll ask, there's a few people that are likely to know. If it's known. Okay. I think it's time to end. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi.